hard-fought game, a lot of adversity, all kinds of different players playing out there. It's too bad somebody had to lose. We've come up on the right side of the stick a couple times, or 3 times on this, and then today, obviously there's things that we can do better, but there were some good things. I thought our football team had great resiliency, and it was going to be a close game and bared out that way. So, questions?
Craig, you mentioned it just seemed like there were some opportunities there, but just couldn't capitalize on them. Was there a big difference? Was it just a want-to? Was it just some plays going away? Or what?
They had the #1 defense in the league. Okay, we knew it was going to be hard moving. So beyond the want-to, and the guy that was coaching it was defensive coordinator of the Browns, Broncos, bunch of. I mean, they're a good defense, and so that's part of it. We needed to get on track better than we were. I thought we underachieved in the first half. There's no doubt about it. The second half, we got some things going, so we're pleased with that. As far as defensively, we were, we went into the game concerned about a couple of the things that we were going to be presented with. We want to put ourselves, our players, in the best position not to give up big plays, and we gave up a couple, but we knew we were going to give up some yards, but tried to say, okay, let's hold it off, try to stay on the field on offense, and we weren't able to do that. Without question, the opportunities, when you get down to the, I don't know, the 4, and then we had the chop block, that was huge. Now, on their side, they throw a touchdown pass and get a chop block too. And so I think sometimes those things even out. We need to learn to capitalize on those things. If it's, and I've coached long enough, it's not one play here or there, but you can look in that game, Robert, and say there's a play here or there, and it flips the other way. So we'll learn from this. We'll coach our guys up. I think, it's very disappointing. It's gut-wrenching. There's some young freshman players that are out there, and they're gaining some experience that it's not real pleasant to go through, but we've got to work through that.
Right. The 4th down play before at the end of regulation where it was ruled that Cash looked like Tim maybe stripped it loose. They confirmed it. I don't know how good of a look you could get at that short a time, but did you get a look at that at all or anything?
You know what? I've learned long enough. I want to stay way far away from that. So I appreciate the question. Okay.
Coach, just how much, faith did you have in the running game on that last play for 4th and 3 to go with that?
Yeah, we did. We had the look that we wanted. We thought that we could get outside, and we're a running football team. Even though we had not run the ball great during the lion's share of the game, at the tail end of the ball, we've been moving the ball fairly well. So we felt comfortable with the call, and it didn't come up short. I want to credit San Jose. They did a nice job on the play.
Craig, you lost a lot of guys defensively. You lost Nazach. I know Fulatasi went out there at the end. Burns was in and out a couple of different times. I mean, they kind of bent and sometimes broke, but not all the time. But it was a gutsy effort. But it was could have been maybe a costly game for your defense of some of the losses.
We'll have to find out where we are at tomorrow. But a lot of guys went down, and there's probably 1 or 2 that maybe we'll find out if they're done for the season, which will be disappointing. But that's part of this football game. And I mentioned to our football team too. That's why you go through fall camp and everybody's just preparing. That's why you're prepared. And the guy that's #2 out there in practice, you got to be ready to go, because when the lights are on out there, you need to prepare like the starter. And so we'll continue to work with that. To say it was like somewhat of a mash unit or a musical chairs, we were having to juggle a lot of things, not only on scrimmage downs, but in kicking game as well.
Craig, you talk about players strip, fumble, recovery. That seemed to be able to spark you guys to turn the whole game around.
It was huge, and that didn't come by chance. We've been working really, really hard at that. We spent a great deal of time in that in practice. We came up with a strip last week, which was a big play, and this obviously was a big, big strip, and we're going to continue to work on that.
Coach, obviously Colby ran it a lot more today than he had in some design runs. What was the thought process with wanting him to get that going?
Well, we've always had that in our arsenal, but when I talked, maybe Robert brought up the question of whether we need to get some things going. And we don't expose our quarterback much to the running game, but when we were struggling with some base runs, that's the X factor that we don't pull out very often, and that's why we pulled it out today.
How would you characterize the play of your defensive line? It seemed like Yarborough especially was called a lot more than through the first 6 games?
Was what?
His name was called.
Oh, I thought he played really hard and well. And now, their quarterback was very elusive. I mean, we were pressuring him, and he scrambled around. And we've had some challenges with that anyhow during the course of the year. But, I thought our effort was good. But, technique-wise, I think we could play better.
Craig, it looked like when you guys had to kick the field goal at the end, the play before that was similar to the Air Force play. What did you see? It looked like you had Nazacha pretty open in the back of the end zone.
Yeah, the play was actually a design. It was similar to that, but there was a design play for the tailback to come out the backfield. And while Nazacha was wide open, the read and the key was to go to the tailback.
Just to go back.
And I don't think I wasn't jumping up and down on the sideline. I mean, it was a gimme, and I told Kobe, I said it was open. He was coach, and he wasn't schooled up to look. And quite frankly, those things are surprised that he was uncovered.
Coach, just you've been in this situation for a couple of games now. Obviously, just what did you tell the team, or how do you just get them to continue to keep their head up, keep fighting, keep going?
That's a great point. We talked about attitude, and that preparation comes into play. And we've been on the plus side of some of these games, and we have to, number one, continue to work hard in the weight room. Number two, work hard on the practice field. Stay unified, believe in one another, and keep on trucking. And our coaches will model that, and I think it's really important for our older players, senior players who do not have a whole lot of football left, to make sure that they lead in the right way. And so these times are not easy, but I think it's important for our program as we build our program to keep moving forward. And that's what Wyoming and Cowboy Tough football is about.
Coach, for 3 quarters, your offense really struggled to move the ball. What changed in the 4th quarter where you found success?
Well, some of it comes into play. We were able to get on the field enough and wear somebody else down. Now, I will say 7,220 feet does make a difference. I've been in the other locker room when it does make a difference, and that was part of our ace in the hole. That's where I thought, okay, in the end, if we can keep that defense out there, we can get the running game going. And we had a shot to win the game in regulation, and you saw how close it was. And on their side, they had a shot a couple times as well. So I think conditioning comes into play, and we've got to capitalize on that.
Coach, final stretch of the season, you have some tough conference matchups. What's the goal for the rest of the season? You still have a chance to be bowl eligible. Looking ahead, what's the main goal for the Pokes?
I think it's always difficult when you look that far out. We've got to regroup and figure out a way to put one foot in front of the other one and win the next game. And that's what our goal is going to be. Now, I don't want to say that's not an oversimplification. That's just coaching 101. And I appreciate your fact saying, hey, we're still bowl eligible. Right now, we got 100 and some guys down in that locker room that we got to figure out how to pick up and put them in the right position and go out to Monday practice and bounce back.